The parable of the sower. We're going to go through much of Matthew chapter 13, and I don't think we'll get through it all, but probably to at least verse 41. Now, if that gentleman is awake, the young fellow, the tetragrammaton can be found in the manuscripts, it can be found in the Strongs, or any other lexicon. Look it up. If you need the resources, let me know. I've got plenty. I can scan them, I can put them on the website, I can talk about it, I can send you pictures, whatever. There's been something I came across recently that says the name in the pictographic means behold nail, behold hand. That's what they say that Yahweh's name means in the pictographic. Interesting. So anyway, we've got all those things and resources, lexicons and Bible dictionaries and things like that are good resources. And so anyway, we're recording this tonight. So whether he's awake or not, okay, he's here. Okay. So you say you don't know where you stand. Some of the things that we'll go through tonight, we're going to take a close look at and figure out where, because now I believe that Yah showed me, change the subject, change the channel, and I believe it's for this young fella here. So glory to Yahweh in the highest, and praise be unto Yahweh, Baruch Yahweh for that. So let us take a look. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 13, Matityahu chapter 13. We're going to take it from the top and at least go till at least verse 41, because within that we'll be able to see within the identity that myself have been speaking on, who we are, where we are, what we're to do, how to act, how to present ourselves, when we're trying to sow seed and doing the right things. We're going to come across people that are not receptive, somewhat receptive, and we want to break this down and see how this is and see how we are. So let's start with verse 1. Let's take it from the top. We're going to touch on the high points of this. The same day went Yeshua out of the house and sat by the seaside, and a great multitude were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. Multitude, throngs of people, masses, a lot of people were there. So let us see. He wanted to kind of get away from him. And can you imagine why? Most of them wanted to test him. Most of them wanted to try to challenge his mind, challenge his doctrine, and see where he was at. And it gets tiring. He was focused on the few, not the masses. If he did, he would have got a bunch of ships and said, you all get aboard and come with me. So point number 1, the masses stayed on shore, and he spoke many things unto them in parables, saying, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And we're not talking about sowing as in stitching, so let's get that thought out of the way, just for any novice that may come across this teaching and years down the road, is not sowing. Sowing is, in this instance, it is about planting seed in decent ground, fertile ground. It is about, that's what they used to call it. When you take the seed out of the bag, it'd be around your neck, across from one side to another on an angle, and you would pull the seed out of, fill your hand up, and you would put it into the ground where it was tilled up. So he's using this parable as an analogy to explain what's going to happen here. And we want to take a look at what is going to happen. Definitely needed time away, and certainly needed to recharge and get away from the multitudes, and the multitudes were certainly a vexing and perplexing thing. As we see today, it's easy to get vexed and perplexed, as I like to say, when you have masses that can overtopple you quick, fast, and in a hurry and leave your head spinning around like the Looney Tunes. So even Yeshua needed to get away and rejuvenate. Now verse 4, and when he sowed some seed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, but they had no deepness of the earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched. And because they had no root, they withered away. Some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell on good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Now, let's step back for just a minute before we expound too much on that. Let's take a look at this and break this down. Verse 4, some fell by the wayside. Point 1 for this verse, some fell upon the wayside. These are the kinds of people that didn't make it past hello. You didn't hold their attention for the first second. You didn't get the first word out of your mouth and it fell upon deaf ears. They didn't even get past the word hello or hi or hey or however you might want to present to greet somebody. You got nothing for them. They don't want anything to do with it. Or you. 5. Some fell upon stony places. Now point 2. Some fell upon stony places. These are superficial people. These are people that are always worried about what the world's doing, the fads and the fashions and the trends. They're caught up with everything that is nothing. Every abomination, every kind of heretical teaching, every kind of thing that has nothing to do with the word of Yahweh. And 6 says they had no root and they withered away. They have no root because they're superficial. 7, some fell among thorns. That means the tares choked the good seed. These are people that are more concerned with what others think. Well, what do my friends think? You know how many times I've tried to teach somebody something on a one-on-one or a small group, and they say, well, I got to go ask my friends. I said, well, what does the word say? Well, I got to see what they say. Oh, so you're more concerned with what your friends think and what others think, or what Hollywood's teaching, or what somebody else is teaching, than what the very word says. Suddenly, there's a problem. Suddenly, there is a problem. You say, hello, get thee up out of here. And that's what Yeshua did. He says, hey, I've absorbed an awful amount of energy in these people, in these masses, in these multitudes. I need to get thee up out of here and take a ship ride with my taught ones and get some time to relax, time away from it. Because he knew one for everyone. Point 4 in verse 8. Some seeds fell on good ground, which means good soil needs to have, you need to have good soil so that the good seed can grow. You try growing on beach sand, you're going to get nothing. You try growing a rose or a cucumber or something on a rock, good luck with that. See how that does for you. You try to grow it and put it wherever you like, it's not going to go. It has to be on good soil. I know I used to farm and do a little bit of that stuff when I was a really young boy, plant plants and flowers and things like that. So I know it needs to be dug up, it needs to be tilled, and it needs to be dispersed in good ground because it needs that water. And we've touched on that before. The water brings forth life, and if there's no life, the seed ain't gonna grow, do anything. It's gonna pop open and it's gonna die as quick as it opens. Now, hold it right there on that verse, in verse 8. Let's look at the exact scripture. We quote it all the time, I know I do, and it is a foundational verse. Matthew 4:4. Matthew 4:4. But he answered and said, it is written. He's quoting the Torah. Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh. So the 4 points that I just made, people are going to look at this verse and they're going to do one of these 4 things. But by every word of your own, and forget about the word of Yahweh. Is that the way it should be? These are the ones who had fallen by the wayside. But by every word, any way you please, and forget about the word of Yahweh. Is that what the scripture says? No. These are people that fell, these are the seeds that fell on stony places. Take a look at the third one. But by every way that the world offers. And forget about the word of Yahweh. Is that correct? No. These, again, are the ones that fell on thorny ground. The thorns choked them. They had a little something, something, but somebody came away and they said, oh, you need to do like this. Oh, you need to do like this. Oh, yeah, I need to go here. I need to go there. And like this young fella here today that goes by this teaching and that teaching, don't know what to think. Forget about them. Get in the Word, get in the Strongs, get your lexicons. I'll show you the way. I'll show you the resources that and my teacher shared with us. And, I spent a fortune on them. I still have them today, and they are wonderful resources, and they have not done me wrong. Now, the next part of this. But by every word, but by the heart of the matter, is that what Yahweh says? Proceeds out of his mouth? Is this righteousness? Wrong answer. Correct answer is, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yahweh Elohim. It doesn't get any plainer than that. It's pretty basic. So you're going to get these kind of people that you can't get past hi to them. You're going to fall by the wayside quick, fast, and in a hurry. They're going to drop you like a bad habit on a Tuesday night in a poker game. 2, some seeds fell on stony places. These are superficial people. Oh, I can't do the Shabbat. It's my only day to get my nails done. Really? These are superficial people. They've got 101 excuses. They don't care about anything. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, yeah. But they've got no root. No root means they don't get any water. That means it ain't going to grow. And the others are going to be more concerned with what other people think. Well, I can't keep the Shabbat. I can't do like Yahweh says because my friend over here says I should go and do this Babylonian sun worship, heathen, pagan, Christian worship. So I need to be there. After all, that's where the masses are. But let us not forget what Yeshua says. The masses are in the wrong side of things. Matthew 7:13. Enter you in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. 14. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leads to life, and there are few there be that find it. Now, isn't that interesting? That was from Matthew 7, 13 and 14. Now we bounce ahead back here to where our mainstay is today in Matthew chapter 13, and these few verses that we just looked over through 13:3 through 8, we clearly see that there is a narrow way. The masses are falling by the wayside, one way or another. They're falling by the wayside. They don't care. You got nothing for them. They're falling on stony ground. They're following every damnable heresy, or it's falling on good ground. It's one of the four. So you got a 3-to-1 odds of righteousness, and the majority is against us. So where does that leave us? The words you can and cannot use, those are only words and terminologies mean what we want them to mean. Kind of trivial. Deal with that at another time. Worry more about, ask Yahweh to put a seal on your lips, to guard your heart and mind, and to take every thought captive, as Shaul says. But we can come back to that at the end. We can discuss that and open up to everyone chiming in. 8. But other fell into good ground and brought forth fruit. Some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. You will know them by the fruit that they bear, Yeshua says. So with the verse fell on good ground here, on verse 8, it's going to take strength. It's going to take time to push up through that ground. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard pressed. That's different than straddling the fence saying, I'm going to live here. I'm going to live a heathenistic lifestyle, go chasing skirts and doing some dope and whatever else. And I'm going to play the Shabbat for a few hours in a week, and you'd be no better than the Christians that go and say, hey, it's a Sunday of life. You can just call upon any name. It's all good. You might as well be calling on any name if you ain't got the right name. Who has an ear to hear, let him hear. You got to have some understanding here. Everybody's got ears. Whether they're deaf, dumb, blind, whatever, they can hear in some way, shape, or form. The Spirit will get in there, the Ruach, they'll hear it some way. So it's not a matter of physical hearing. It's a matter of hearing that principle, and it's planted. You know how much stuff I hear during the course of a week, people talking and jibber jabbering, and to me, again, I'll tell you, it sounds like the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, 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 wah. It goes in one ear and out the other. But if I take that thought captive, whatever trash that they're spewing, let's say, for instance, oh, Jesus, we can call upon that name. That's all good. After all, it's been around for 300 years. If I take that kind of a thought and say, yeah, I can make it easier. I can broaden the road and include everybody. Do I have the power to do that? Do I have the authority to do that? No, and triple no. So it is a narrow road and a narrow process. I can't open it up to anybody I want. You got to come by this way by choice. You got to come this way and understand. So you got to have an ear to hear, and if it's planted in you, it's going to grow. It's going to bear fruit eventually. It's going to be, we grow glory to glory, Shaul says, or esteem to esteem, higher and higher. Just like when you plant fruit or flower, any kind of a seed or herb, as Yeshua was talking about here, it's going to grow and it's going to get higher and higher and higher until it's ready to become harvest season, harvest time. And what is harvest time? When Yeshua HaMashiach comes. And we're going to touch on this and look into this a little bit. But for right now, verse 10, and the disciples, the taught ones, came and said unto him, why speak you in parables? They said, why do you speak in these parables? He said to his taught ones, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries in the kingdom of heaven, the Shemaim, but to them it is not given. So let's take a look at this verse. It is given to you. He's talking first of all to his taught ones. Second of all, to us who are the first fruits. And it is up to us to understand and gravitate to these things. And from here, we can get a clear understanding that it's all I can do to get myself into the kingdom. Let me share this verse with you. Watch this. Look at this. Wherefore, my beloved, this is in Philippians 2:12. Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I can't worry about my parents or grandparents. I can't twist their arms. I can't broaden the road. I can't make other people come this way. I can't pray them into the kingdom. I can't do anything except share the word in love and in truth. Sowing the seed, essentially, is what it means. And that's exactly what we do. We share it in love and in truth. It's easy to whoop up on somebody. It's more than easy to be whooped up on somebody. But these are the key elements that we need to understand. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That we, chosen, have to understand. We are chosen. The masses are not chosen. The masses are mystified and blinded. They are as blinded as, guess who? Shaul was once blinded. Paul was once blinded till the scales were removed from his eyes. And even then, he wasn't walking around with a $10 million bank account. When it was revealed to him, he knew what to do. And when you know what to do, you know how to live. And you know who you are. These things go hand in hand, and we must understand them. And we must live a contrite life. Verse 11, Matthew 13:11. Matityahu 13:11 is where we are. But he answered, said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, the Shemaim, but to them it is not given. The word will fall to everybody, to the four corners of the earth. However, it is not given unto everybody to fully understand. This is what makes me very upset when I hear Christians say, oh, we don't know this, we don't know that, we don't know the plan for the Israel or the church, aka the assembly. We don't understand these things. It's all, and they mystify it. They make mysteries out of it to keep you, some spookism, keep you on your toes. We don't know what Yahweh's going to do. No, it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Either the churches that teach this and say we don't know are wrong, or Yeshua's wrong. You gotta look at the two. Who's wrong here? You gotta ask that. I mean, come on. I believe it's over in Amos. I think it's in chapter 2, I think, that says that the mystery, that he doesn't do anything secretly. He reveals them through his prophets. He doesn't do anything beforehand. He's going to tell you. Before he smacked down a king, he says, I'm going to tell you. Before he chastises, he says, you're going to get it. You know, when you have children, you're going to say, hey, you're going to get it. You're going to get your behind warm there, so straighten up. Okay, yeah. And they're either going to do one of two things. They're going to say, okay, I'm going to obey your word, or they're going to say, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to take a chastising. It's one of the two. That's where we are as believers and followers in Yeshua HaMashiach, is that we must understand and know that we must follow him. And that we understand we can't walk around mystifying the scripture. When Yahweh and Yeshua both say they will tell us these things. There's nothing that's a mystery. Signs, times, and seasons all point to Yeshua's return. We will know this. We know when the last trump will be. He ain't just going to blow it on Christmas Day or Estar. It would be heathenistic for him to consider even these pagans. So the fact that Yeshua would ever return on just any old day he liked is bogus in itself. But people don't know the holy days. They don't know the appointed times. Appointed times means there's a schedule here. Yeshua's telling you what's going on. He's not making a mystery out of it. He's telling you the mysteries. He's telling us the mysteries. It's up to us to say, I'm going to read this. Oh no, I'd rather not read it. I'd rather go listen to what this Joe Schmo says over here and put together what he says. No, that sounds good, but I'm going to go over here. Your head will be spinning round and round. Your eyeballs will be going around in your skull like the Looney Tunes. Woo! I kid you not, because they're 90% of teachings is garbage. I hear stuff and I say, that seems right. And I look at the scripture and I say, no, that is awful. I've seen teachings that sound good and they quote the scripture and the scripture does not say that. I can't find a translation that does say that. Let's still expound on this. So there's no mysteries. He tells us, he says, you know the mysteries. Now, is he just going to say this to the 12 taught ones and say, hey, keep this under your hat. Don't write these Besorah, the Gospels, the Evangels. Don't write these epistles. Don't write anything, because we want these people to be deaf and dumb. Is that what happened? Is that how we got 27 books of the Brit Hadashah? Is just because Yeshua is having his 12 spit in the breeze, so to speak? Absolutely not. He's got a plan. Gave us the word in these 27 books of the Brit Hadashah because he wants us to expound what the old covenant was hidden in. Now, if there's any doubt of that, let's consider Psalms 78:2. 78:2 for just a moment. Once you read this verse, you'll say, oh, I get it. Psalms 78:2 says, I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. You know how many times Christians say, oh, it's new. We're in the new covenant. It's new. It's not new. It's just revealed. And therefore, it seems new. That's all. All this was spoken in the Tanakh, the 39 books of the Old Covenant. These are new things. Oh, they're new. No, they're not new. These are old precepts. These are things of old that are coming about in this era. It's no spookism. It's no mysticism. There's no mysteries. It is what it is. And people just go on every kind of single false teaching just to keep people's minds dumbed down. That's all it is. Keep you dumbed down, and then, I gotta go hear this pastor. I gotta go hear this person teach, because if they're not holding to the scripture, they're not holding to anything. And check what I say. Check what the scripture says. My teacher, he's saying, don't take it from me. Get in the word. He says, 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Or test all things. How are you going to prove or test all things? You get in the word. You rightly divide the word of truth. You see what it is. What is being said. If I tell you there's mysteries, show me. Say, look, bro, the scripture says there's all kinds of mysteries. But it can't, because Yeshua says, it is given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Kingdom of heaven, the things that are to come. But to them it is not given. To the masses it is not given. So I know I keep going over this point and over this point, but I want you all to know and understand that it's not for everyone. You can sow a seed to everyone if you think you're able, but it's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to get this. Not everybody's going to gravitate towards it. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody cares to. Most people are more worried about getting their hair done, their nails done, or sitting on the beach on the Shabbat. 12. For whosoever has, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever has not, from him shall be taken away even that he has. Essentially what you could say, he that does not have the words, the mysteries, the understanding Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh, and understand these things and their names and the word, which are all intertwined, they're all one, and got nothing. They got nothing. And they'll be taken away with every kind of abomination that there is. 13. Therefore, speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Let's hold it right there and get this understanding from Isaiah 6. Isaiah 6, 9 and 10. Isaiah 6, 9 and 10. Again, that's Isaiah 6, 9 and 10. And he said, go and tell this people, hear you indeed, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, their eyes shut, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and be converted and healed. It's not for everyone. It's as simple as that. You can't make it any plainer. It can't be dumbed down any more than that. It's not for everyone. That's why most have scales on their eyeballs. Most have earplugs in. It's not for everyone. Oh, but my dear old grandma. No, I love my grandma just as much as anybody. You know, I don't want to see her go in the pit. But what can I do? All I've done is all I could have done. I can't do anything more. She loves the Catholic ways. You know, is it going to be hard seeing her go over the pit? Well, maybe not. I don't know. However, it is what it is. I can't concern myself with, I can't do anything. I can't study. I can't teach because I'm just so worried about my dear old grandma and everybody else. And if you get in this mindset, you're done. You're going into the pit yourself, right into the lake of fire. Be an example for your family. That's the best thing that you can do. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, live by every word, and say, this is the way. Oh, and maybe at one point they'll say, well, why is it the way? Well, show them Matthew 4:4. Well, this is what Yeshua said. Now it's on them. Now it's on them. They either like it or lump it. They either follow it or they reject it. And it's just that simple. They either follow or they reject. But living an example is the best way. Because I've had many in my family that they say, he teaches a word, he preaches and this and that, and they kind of laugh and scoff and this and that. But when all else fails, they know who to call, they know who to ask questions to, they know who to come to. And that's my opportunity, my golden nugget, my golden opportunity to try to share with them the best that I can. 15, Matthew 13:15, Matityahu 13:15. For this people's heart is waxed cold, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest any time they should be They should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and they should understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. Now, did you catch that? He said, I should heal them. Remember Yeshua says, I and my Father are one? So again, we see Isaiah fulfilled. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Again, this is not carnal, seeing and hearing. Everybody sees, everybody hears. It's like when you've got, not attention deficit, but some people, when you're multitasking, you're hearing it, yup. And then they ask you a few minutes later, what'd I say? Well, that's exactly what it's like. They can hear, but they're not getting it. They can see it, but they're not getting it. It's not comprehending. It's just not registering between the blinkers. That little gray matter in there, that pint-sized gray matter between the eardrums, ain't doing anything. It just shut down. It's just like a car going into a brick wall. Stops dead. Whoa, wait a minute. And that just falls on deaf ears. And that's where the saying comes from. Falls on deaf ears. They're not getting it. And they're not going to. You can pray, be on your knees, try to arm twist, do whatever. Ain't going to do any good unless y'all say so. 18. Wait a minute. 17. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. Think of Isaiah walking around bollocky, bare behind, for all that time. And every other major and minor prophet sought to hear these words, but they didn't. They didn't hear, they didn't see. 18. Hear you, therefore, the parable of the sower. There's the title of our message tonight. Parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and understands it not, then comes the wicked one. Did you catch that? When somebody doesn't understand the word and they're not getting it, and they're not perceiving it, it's not planted in them, then comes the wicked one, the enemy, the devil, and catches away that which was sown in his heart. A little sprinkle on the heart, it's in the mind. You're mulling things over and saying, no, it can't be. And what happens? There's the enemy that comes to devour you. This is which receive seed by the wayside. He's telling you, these people are the ones that are vanity. These people just fall everything by the wayside. You can't hold their attention past hello, past the greeting. 20. But he that receives the seed into stony places, that same is he that hears the word and immediately with joy receive it. Yet has not the root in himself, but endures for a season. For when tribulation and persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Because of the word. Oh, buddy, you need to come over here to our church because we got wonderful program. Okay, I'll be there. Yeah. Well, we got something else over here. Okay, I'll be there. And you're like, we read in the Torah the other week, the other Shabbat, grasshoppers, they hop around from place to place, from thing to thing. They got no root, no home, no foundation, just hop around, up and down. I got something here, you got something, okay, I'm here, I'm there. And their heads are spinning, again, like I say, like cartoons. Why? Because they go along with every kind of heretical, damnable teaching that there is. Okay, I'm here, I'm there, I'm going with my friends. They got no root. The root is in the word, in the scripture. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that hears the word, and cares of this world, and the deceitful of the riches choke the word and become unfruitful. Remember when I pointed out to you earlier that these are people that care only of themselves. Oh, look at, I'm in Hollywood, I'm famous, I'm riches, I got prestige, I'm a jeweler, I'm a banker, I'm whatever. I got this to do and that, and more concerned with getting their nails done or seeing how fat their bank account is, or whatever the situation is. These are people that are more concerned with the worldly things. Yeah, it seems good, yeah, that's all good, but I ain't got time for that. And I'll tell you this, people in my family, my grandfather that had passed a few months ago, or several months ago now, was always concerned with finances, money, and all kinds of things. But, hey, when he was down and out, it's time to pray. When he wanted something, it's time to pray. But, when everything's good, not so. Again, the point being is, people that are caught up in worldly things, we have these people that go around teaching this damnable heresy that is Yahuwah, Yehoho, whatever. It is Yahweh. Every single lexicon that you can look at shows YHWH. And if it says YHVH, you know that is from the newer variant Hebrew, basically from Germany with the Va. It was Wah, Yod Hey, Wah Hey, Yahweh. It's that simple. But people want to say, I got something new. And the masses come running. Oh, I got something new. I don't tell me about something new. Say, I got something old for you. I'll be interested. I like antiques. I like old stuff. I want to hear about old things. Tell me about the old ways. The old ways are pleasing to Yahweh. Jeremiah tells us, seek the old path. But people got every kind of new thing, and they tell you his name is with a U and every other thing. It is not. I can translate the Hebrew, not fluently read it yet, but I can understand it. And there is no U in Yahweh. Yeshua there is, but there's not. The U is more or less a following of Shu with like a O almost sound, but that's a whole nother teaching we can get on at another time. But it is not Yahuwah, Yahuwah, whatever else they say. This is a Lou White heresy. This is that Chris, I think he's the fellow from Institute for Scripture Research, does some writing for them, and there's this whole thing because the names, the prophets and stuff say usually have a U at the end. That Yeshua's name must have a U, therefore Yahweh's name's got to have a U, and they start reasoning Hebrew and English. You cannot mingle English with Hebrew, and you cannot put an English understanding in Hebrew. People come looking at it with all kinds of angles to understand. The name is Yahweh, YHWH, the Tetragrammaton. It's in every lexicon that there is, every place that you can find it, and there is where you seek the knowledge. Seek the Scripture. Study the Scripture. Get in the manuscripts. I don't care what Lou White says. I care about what the Word says. Forget about what people say. Even what I say, take it to the Scripture. Because the Scripture you can take to the bank. Start taking the word of somebody, and you'll be going right off into the pit. So don't let these worldly people choke you out. 23. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hears the word and understand it, which also bears fruit and brings forth some 100 and some 60 and some 30. So these people will grow and produce fruit, some a little more than others. 24. And another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. That's what the whole parable is about. But when man slept in, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, master, did not thou sow good seed in thy field? From where then has the tares? And he said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servants said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? Watch this now. The enemy is the one sowing tares. The enemy is the one saying, go do like this. Go hang out like this with these yahoos. Go do like this. Go follow every damnable heresy. It's okay. Did Yahweh really say that? Just as he tempted Eve in the garden? Is that what Yahweh said? Huh? Always creating that doubt. How do you eliminate doubt? Know the Word. Live by the Word. 28. He said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou go and gather them up? Joshua said, Nay, no. Lest while you gather up the tares, you uproot also the wheat with them. I'm going to continue on for a few more verses, and then we'll look at this in retrospect, in hindsight here, and foresight, expound upon this. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in that time of the harvest I will say unto the reapers, Gather you together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable he put forth. But let me stop right there. These two verses, 29 and 30, are saying you gotta let the righteous and the unrighteous grow up together. Not saying mingle, not saying you're allowing this. Remember, the house divided cannot stand. Mother against daughter, son against father. The word divides. And we need to remember it is a dividing factor following Yeshua. So, with that said, it says, let them grow up. We're not going to be mingled with them. We need to have that understanding. We're not going to be mingled, like becoming one with them and cohabitating like that. But it is, let them grow out of the earth, the righteous and the wicked. Remember, the rain comes unto the just and unto the unjust. Why unto the unjust? Because it's a blessing to the just. So until the time of harvest, there be no separation. It's just not proper. Because you got to have that proper aspect. You got to have that fruit at its fullest. And Yeshua is the one that can separate the wheat from the tare. So he's saying in verse 30, until the time of the harvest, until Yeshua comes, we're going to be stuck on this miserable planet with all these damnable heresies. And it's up to us to overcome that. Well, do I want to do like this? Or do I want to do like that? Or do I want to follow Yeshua? Do I want to go live with the heathens? Act like the heathens? Drink like the heathens? And do all kinds of things like that? No. Why would I want to sacrifice going into the pit? So these, the righteous and the unrighteous, are not going to be separated until Yeshua returns. And then the tares, the evil one, are going to be bound up for the lake of fire. They're going to be ready for the pit. It's not a problem. Once it's separated, it's done. But gather the wheat into my barn. Gather the righteous, the first fruits, unto himself. Another parable he put forth, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among the herbs, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable he spake unto them, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid 3 measures of a meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things Yeshua spoke unto the multitude in parables. He's putting it out there, but coded, you could say. For the ones, it is like sending a coded or cryptid message. When you see these spy programs and things like that, people can intercept them, but if you don't have that right understanding of how to decode it, or in this case, demystify it, I guess you could say, because if you don't have the Ruach, you're not going to understand it. If you're not living the Word, you're not going to understand it. But when these top government things and these secret shadow governments do their thing, they're sending messages, only they can receive it and transmit it and understand it. And all these written codes and things, we can get it, we can see it, we can read it, but it ain't for our eyes. It's not for our understanding. So some people can intercept these messages, big deal, because it's not meant for them. This is what Yeshua's doing, still doing, I want to point out. All these things spoke Yeshua unto the multitudes in parables, and without a parable he spoke not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken in the prophet, by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have kept secret from the foundation of the world. Sounds very much like the verse from Psalms 78 too that we just read a little while ago, where it says, I will open my mouth in a parable and utter dark sayings of old. 36, and Yeshua went and kept secret from the foundation of the world And Yeshua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples, his taught ones, came unto him, saying, Declare us the parable of the tares of the field. They wanted to know, what's this mean? What's this about? He answered and said unto them, He that sows the seed is the Son of Man, Yeshua. He that sows the good seed is the Son of Man, is Yeshua. He, Yeshua, sowing the seed, the good seed, is the Mashiach. 38. We're winding down here, folks, so hang on. The field of the world, the good seed, are the children of the kingdom. Did you catch that? The children of the kingdom. What kingdom is it? Yeshua preached the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of the Shemaim. It's not, as right now, not necessarily an earthly thing. It's really not an earthly thing at all, with the exception of our bodies. Hearts, minds, and souls coming together. You can't have a king without a kingdom. And you can't have a reign or a kingdom without followers. That's what he came to do. That was the whole mission of going to the cross. The stake is so that, as we taught before, others can come in and lay hold of the covenant and the promises thereof. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. When somebody is trying to sow tares in you and get you to go into the hood to do wicked things, you got to say, gee, is this a test of Yahweh? Or is this the enemy trying to sow tares? Either way, the enemy is sowing tares. And you got to say, Yahweh, give me the strength to overcome this. Give me the strength to overcome this temptation. It's so easy to give into the flesh. It's so easy to do what we want. Very easy. 39. The enemy that sowed them is the devil, and harvest is the end of the world, and reapers are the angels. Did you see that? The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The enemy that sowed the wicked tares, the children of the wicked one. So what he's saying here is there's little wicked, demonic little children running around. The masses, remember, the masses running around teaching every single kind of heretic teaching that there is, every kind of horrific abomination that there is. There's women pastors who teach that gay marriage is good. They teach abortion is good. They teach that anything is, and I mean, it's, you got churches that do this. You got pastors that are men that do this, that they say it's all good in the hood. But the scripture says it is not. So we see that the devil, the enemy, is hard at work through his people. Who are his people? The masses. And so verse 30, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. Over in 24, we've touched on it before, and we'll revisit that maybe next week, Yahweh willing, and look at the eschatology, the end time. When Yeshua returns, he sends his angels to gather the elect. They're reaping his harvest. They're gathering his wheat, his seed that has produced good fruit. And if you're not producing good fruit, where are you at? Where are you going? You got to ask yourself this. We're winding down here. We're almost done. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. So we see clearly, he's referring to what he showed the elder Yohanan, John, over in Revelation. He shows them the lake of fire and the people going in it. 41. The Son of Man, Mashiach, Yeshua, shall send forth his angels, and shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity. Did you catch that? He shall send forth his angels. That's just what he said in Matthew 24. Are you seeing how the scriptures are weaved together? That this isn't something that just come together by osmosis? Iniquity. Those who do lawlessness. Remember, over in Matthew 7, 21, 22, and 23, he says, Not everyone that says unto me, Sovereign, Sovereign, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Sovereign, Sovereign, have we not prophesied in your name? And in your name cast out devils? And in your name done many works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that works iniquity. Iniquity is those who do not follow and keep the commandments, the law, the Torah, the instruction of the Most High Yahweh. And for now, it's getting late, we will conclude with that. Where do you line up? Are you good ground? Are you good soil? This is the questions I want to leave you with. Are you a worker of iniquity that offends Yeshua? Or are you good, solid, fertile ground